Sorkin isn't the only person who has said this before, and I always ignore this advice because it seems like so much extra work. But I think I may need to do it. Hi, I'm Jacqueline Joyce, but you can call me Jay. Hey friends, and welcome to my channel. I have a channel about my interest and my profession, which is TV writing. So I have been watching MasterClass, which is an educational video series starring some of the greats in their particular field. And today we are doing my top takeaways from Aaron Sorkin, the writer of The West Wing, Newsroom, The Social Network, and so many more great films and TV shows. On top of that, MasterClass is not cheap. I hope this is a good guide to inform you whether you should purchase the course or not. Hey guys, just want to let you know that I do have a stutter, so you will notice it throughout this video. I did do one on Shonda. If you want to watch it, it's right here. So now, let's jump in. My first takeaway is intention and obstacle. Your story needs intention and obstacle. This is the more obvious takeaway. All writers will begin here because without intention and an obstacle, you have no story. Sorkin pretty much outlines what this means, and he specifically says,
what I need before I can do anything is an intention and obstacle, okay? Somebody wants something standing in their way of getting it. They want the money, they want the girl, they want to get to Philadelphia, it doesn't matter. But they've got to really want it bad, and whatever is standing in their way has got to be formidable. I need those things, and I need them to be really solid, or else I will slip into my old habit back when I was 21 with the electric typewriter of just writing snappy dialogue that doesn't add up to anything. We won't be moving forward.
He also makes clear that in the end, your character doesn't have to win. They just have to try. Them trying is what makes the story, not them winning. If you're not sure about intention, I explain it pretty heavily in my 10 Things I Learned from watching Shonda Rhimes' MasterClass. So watch that if you want a little bit more understanding of how to begin your TV writing and or story writing process. My next takeaway was, which I love how he explained this, was when do you introduce the intention and the obstacle? When do you do it? Clearly, if your story doesn't start, it has to be soon in. However, Sorkin says that the amount of time an audience will give you to introduce the story depends on the medium of story that you're telling. So he based this on how difficult it is for the person viewing your work to leave. So plays are a little embarrassing and harder to walk out of. So you can take more time to get to your obstacle. It's easier to leave a movie, but you're more financially invested in staying because movies are expensive. But the easiest thing to do is change the channel on a TV show. So for TV, Sorkin introduces his obstacle within the first 2 minutes. That means he puts it in the first 2 pages of his script, which that takeaway was really invaluable because it's teaching me to really make sure to just jump right in there at the gate. Just be like, boom, here's a story. Okay, let's step into character development a little bit. I'm not gonna lie to you, this actually confuses the hell out of me, which is why I added it, because we all have different ways of approaching our work, and you know this is Aaron Sorkin, so who am I to be like, I don't think that what you're doing is right. But Sorkin says that you basically don't need character work. His words exactly are,
I think that if you are writing long biographies of your characters, of fictional characters, and this character, when they were 5 years old, they did this, and when they were 6 years old, they did that. Things that have nothing to do with the story you're telling. I think that you're getting involved with magical thinking, and that it's not going to work. I think that, especially when you're beginning the script, anything that isn't intention and obstacle is going to mess you up.
And he says that you basically get this guy, your character, to have an intention, put obstacles in their way, make your character have to play their intention, and then things will start to come up. So I'm going to try it this way, and I will let you guys know how that goes. But that is definitely not the way that I write. And so hearing him say that was really interesting. All right, so let's keep on moving. The next one is me taking a moment to remind you to like this video. Please. It helps me, my channel, and it helps other people who are interested in writing, learn things like this. Also, comment below if you'd like more of them. I've always wanted to write songs, and I think MasterClass just came out with a new series from St. Vincent, who is a songwriter, and so I'm really interested in watching that one. And then if you guys want to know what I learned from it, I can make another video like this, because education is my thing. Next up is writing characters unlike yourself. So we all have to write characters that are not technically the same person that we are, and Sorkin says he actually steers clear of writing characters that aren't like him. The example he gave was he steers clear of what it's like to be black in the 21st century because he's not black, you know. But he says that his contribution is having their race be irrelevant in the 21st century, which basically reminds me of when people say I don't see color, which is magical thinking if you ask me. To me, a person's race is never irrelevant, especially if you're writing about them in the United States of America, because the basis of our society has been created with race. But this is not a social justice class, so let me get back on topic. But Sorkin does say that he fills his rooms with different type of people so that he has a diverse room who can create accurate depictions of people unlike himself, which I do appreciate. The next one is the audience. I was so happy that he came to a section and entitled The Audience. You know, I love that there was a section about the audience, because I've read a lot of TV writing books, and if you take the time to focus on the writer's relationship with the audience, Sorkin basically points out that the audience wants to participate. They want to be an active part of the storytelling.
To treat them like they're smart, and they are, and they don't want to just sit back and kind of observe. They want to put things together themselves. And by the way, if you can get them doing that, and they don't see a reversal coming, if you're in the audience, it's a very satisfying feeling that I didn't see that, and I'm smart, and I've been paying attention, and I didn't see that.
He also points out don't lose the audience, and ways that you can lose the audience are by changing the tone or the characteristics of your main character, because your audience will see it and they will call you out on it, and then they will lose interest. In short, don't overtell the story, but give them enough context to start working it out in their own minds. Opening scenes. I was really excited when this video started, because I was like, yes, tell me how to make sure that my opening scene is gonna grab people. As long as you can pull someone in, it's easier to keep them. If you start out with a script that's just boring from the jump, you're like, ugh. So, Sorkin talks about a few ways to go about opening scenes for films and TV shows. I personally love this one and will be using it more often. He says, one way to open a scene is to grab the audience by starting right in the middle of conversations. So if you drop the audience into a situation where you're going 100 miles an hour, it forces them to sit up, listen, and pay attention. You're putting the audience right in the middle of it, and they're like, oh, okay, all right, let's see what's happening. Writing captivating dialogue. I felt this in my soul because I know a lot of writers who are great with story, but horrible with dialogue. And Sorkin says that dialogue is probably the least teachable part of writing. It's also the most personal. So everyone is going to do it in a different way.
It's not just that dialogue sounds like music to me. It actually is music. Anytime someone is speaking for the purpose of performance, whether they're doing it from a pulpit in a church, whether it's a candidate on the stump or an actor on a stage, anytime they're speaking for the purposes of performance, all the rules of music apply. Cadence, tone, and volume, all of the rules of music apply to this. So when I'm writing, what the words sound like are as important to me as what the words mean.
Same way, you know, when a piano player strikes a wrong chord or a wrong key, you can tell because it halts the flow. He says that his scripts have a lot of the same elements as a symphony does, which is a flex if I've ever heard one ever. Super flex. My scripts are like symphonies. What? Okay. Act it out. Sorkin, to make sure his pieces move like a symphony, he uses improv. So he will begin writing the scene by literally improvising it out. He plays every part and he stands up, he sits down, he runs around, he has fun with it. Apparently, he once broke his nose while writing because he was being so physical, flailing his arms around and whatever that. He ended up breaking his nose. He was incredibly active. One time for improvisation. And once the improvisation is finished or he's bandaged up his nose, he sits down and writes everything he acted out. I'm actually gonna try this because this sounds like fun, and it sounds like something that will unlock story points that maybe you just don't think of when sitting and writing or typing. The improvisational moments are also when he starts putting in false starts or hiccups or mess ups to make the dialogue flow a bit more naturally. He'll write more stilted text if it reflects the character and their positioning at the moment. You know, it flows more once the character begins to flow and get into the give and take of a conversation. He also uses different things like alliteration to make his work move more like music. You like that? To make his work move more like music. Alliteration. Booyah. We're getting towards the end, and you can tell because we're talking about rewrites and notes. So these are some of the final takeaways that I thought were important to point out, because in an attempt to improve your craft, we often ask the wrong people for advice. But Sorkin clearly outlines the type of people that we should be reaching out for help, and he says,
You really want to be careful about who you're listening to. Be polite to everybody. You can pretend you're listening to everybody and be polite and thank them. If you're lucky, you're talking to someone, whether they're your producer, your director, your friend. You're talking to someone who's smart, who understands scripts, and who understands the way you write, okay? What you don't want in a script editor, if you're talking to your friend who's also a screenwriter, you want to make sure that they're not trying to write your script the way they would write it, you know?
Once you find that person, keep them in your pocket because they are difficult to come by. He also says that the only valuable notes that you can get from a person who does not write is that something in the story doesn't hit. That's it. That's it. People will have opinions, but if they've never written a script, all they can help you with is why something did not have the emotional impact that you meant for it to have. So don't go asking these people who do not write about your full-length feature, because they have absolutely no idea what they're talking about, pretty much. Now this is the final one, and Sorkin isn't the only person who has said this before, and I always ignore this advice because it seems like so much extra work, but I think I may need to do it. And that advice is retype your drafts. Type your script all over again. First off, as a hedge against laziness. Because even when you think you've finished your script, it's not done. So Sorkin personally knows that there is still stuff in the script that feels very what he calls first drafty. Even once everyone loves it, he knows that it can be better. So he rewrites it so that he can catch everything. He retypes the entire script twice with the screenplay printed out right next to him. And then he'll also retype the entire script from memory. Like, what? I don't know if I'm gonna be doing all that, but maybe that's why I'm not Sorkin yet. So I think I'm gonna have to take this advice at least once and see how much it helps my story. So I hope this was helpful. I tried to find tips that you won't get from every podcast you listen to about screenwriting, and I also really tried to zero in on suggestions that were very specific to Sorkin himself. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe. Remember to continue writing, and I'll catch you guys on the next upload. All right, bye y'all.